the most common victims ng deepfakes, mga videos in particular, or images, alam niyo ba kung sino? Mga babae.
Yes.
Babae, biktima. Eto, doon sa mga nanonood sa atin ngayon, i-google nyo. Magugulat kayo si Gal Gadot. Tama yung pronunciation ko, si Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot, no? Not Gal Gadot. Okay. Makikita nyo, siya yung isa sa mga pinaka-common na nabibiktima ng deepfakes. Nalalagay yung mukha niya doon sa mga porn stars, diba? Yung mga katawan na pang porn. Tapos dati, nung nagre-research ako about deepfakes, talagang makikita mo, parang ginagawa siyang money-making scheme ng maraming mga unscrupulous individuals. So isang perspective yan, no? Ang pinaka-vulnerable dito talaga, yung kababaihan. Yun din ba yung lumalabas sa ano niya? The most likely victims yung mga babae.
Wala pa kaming case na natanggap tungkol wala pa kaming case na natanggap tungkol sa deepfake of, female, usually mga political opposition or human rights defenders like journalists, activists. Pero tama ka, Christian, na marami kaming nakikita na bullying and harassment of female opposition leaders or activists or journalists. So, totoo yun. Na usually, either iniinsulto yung itsura nila and parang ginagawang proxy yung itsura nila sa ability nila or sa integrity nila. So, I agree with you na it's a big issue that we're also looking at.
Isa rin sa gusto kong parang i-highlight natin yung are we equipped against deepfakes, especially in the upcoming elections? Kasi doon po sa mga viewers natin, kung naalala niyo po, no? Isa po sa mga nabiktima nito, although I don't think that was a sophisticated deepfake, si dating Senator Leila de Lima, di ba, nung early during the Duterte administration, when she was being attacked from all fronts from that administration, isa sa mga pinapalutang nila, meron daw sex video. And then yung mga magagaling nating mga kongresista, doon sa panila ipalabas doon sa mismong hearing sa lower house, yung di umano'y video, sex video daw ni Senator Leila de Lima. No? So, makikita nyo po sa YouTube kung gaano kawalang hiya yung ilang mga kongresista natin ng mga panahon na yon. So makikita nyo, no? Yung isang babaeng politiko, talagang pwedeng balahurain, pwedeng babuyin using that fake video. Imagine that was what? More than 6 years ago or more than 5 years ago? E paano po, ang dami ng advancements when it comes to this technology. So, kahit sino pwede mabiktima. That's my point, Attorney Jen, no? Yung readiness natin. Can you talk a bit can you talk more about that? Yung paano ba tayo mas magiging properly equipped when it comes to dealing with something like this?
I think yung first step is really to label a realistic media as made with AI. Pero I just want to point out also, Christian, yung point na sinabi mo, very important yan, na equally harmful yung tinatawag nating cheap fakes or shallow fakes. So meaning to say, types of media, video, audio, na as you said, inedit lang siya very crudely. So hindi nga siya realistic eh. Alam mo pag nakita mo yung video na pwedeng fake siya. Or hindi sobrang sophisticated nung technology kung paano siya inedit. Pero minsan, sinecirculate yun to spread as part of a bigger narrative about a particular politician or public figure. So, delikado rin yan, di ba? Pero hindi yan deep fake issue, more of cheap fake and yung narrative surrounding it. And actually, meron kaming case recently na decision on manipulated media that involves this. So dito sa case na to, again sa US, si President Biden, parang may video na inedit to make it appear na hinihipuan niya yung chest nung granddaughter niya, nung apo niya.
Yan yan. I
Pero
saw that. Oh.
did you see that? Kasi
Yeah, I saw that.
na-debunk siya ng fact checkers like Reuters saying na hindi totoo yun. False yun yung video na yun. Pero it went viral. It was shared very widely. And then yung totoong nangyari was bumoto yung apo niya and nilagyan niya ng sticker na I voted.
Mhm.
Pero parang niloop yung video to make it appear na he was touching or groping his granddaughter's chest. So yun, cheap fake yun. It's not even deep fake. Pag nakita mo yung video, very obvious na hindi yun real, hindi yun totoo. Um, and then, so yun, delikado rin yun, di ba? Pero dun sa, yung tricky kasi dyan, Christian, is, again, bakit ba sinishare yun? Right? So, dun sa case na yun, sinabi namin na yung fake video na yun, in and of itself, it's not harmful. Kasi maraming dahilan kung bakit mo pwede i-share yun eh. And, pero yung importante, dun kasi sa case na yun, yung Meta kasi nung time na yun, yung manipulated media policy nila, hindi rin, malabo din eh. Hindi kompleto, hindi comprehensive. So, dun kami nag-focus sa case na yun. Nag-recommend kami ng policy improvements kung paano nila pwedeng patibayan yung policy, yung on manipulated media.
Ganyan ba, kumbaga, you're still caught within the framework of this dilemma? Napaka-verbose ng pagkakasabi ko. Dilemma na lang. Framework of this dilemma. Ang stupid. Pasensya na po kayo sa mga viewers natin.
Anong ibig mong sabihin?
Hindi, yung dilemma na for instance, dating pinagdidebatihan yan, di ba? How far can you go when it comes to dealing with the manipulated content without violating the sacrosanct freedom of expression?
Yes.
Di ba? Paano yun?
So, under human rights law kasi and freedom of expression standards, falsehood or false information in and of itself is protected. Kasi again, maraming dahilan. Kasi nga, di ba, meron tayong theory na may marketplace of ideas. Kapag nagsabi ka ng something false, somebody else will debunk you, will correct you, and eventually lalabas din yung totoo. Di ba? Yan yung very common metaphor na ginagamit natin sa Philippines and also in the US to think about freedom of expression. So, merong marketplace of ideas. So, under human rights law, falsehood or false information is not in itself harmful. Hindi siya dapat tinatanggal. Kasi isipin mo, hindi rin natin gusto, for example, yung government to tell us ano ba yung totoo at ano yung hindi. Kasi kung yung government mismo, pwede niyang evaluate, pwede niyang gawing pretext yun, pwede niyang gawing excuse yun later on to target critics or journalists. So ayaw din natin yun, di ba? So falsehood in and of itself is protected under human rights law. Pero kaya titingnan natin, merong exceptions yun. Kung yung false information, as you said a while ago, it incites violence or it instigates war or it threatens democratic processes. Basically, kung ina-undermine niya yung karapatan ng ibang tao, pwedeng malimitahan yung freedom of expression natin. So, hindi absolute yung freedom of expression. Pero kailangan merong guardrails.
Pag ganun ba, automatic takedown, let's say, as far as Meta is concerned, or baka naman pwede siyang gawing less visible dun sa platform?
So, depende kung ano yung issue dun sa post. So, tama. So, just to answer your question, pwedeng hindi removal. A good example of this would be graphic content. So kung kunyari, ang dami naming nakikita, especially in armed conflict situations or terrorist situations, yung mga video ng patay na decapitated or binaril, violent content na ayaw nating makita, first for the privacy of the victim, 'di ba? For the privacy of the people depicted in the video, but also for users na pwedeng makita yon or ma-expose sa ganong klaseng content. Pero merong exception na ni-recommend namin sa Meta na kapag sinishare yung ganitong klaseng content in an armed conflict, right? Like what happened sa Myanmar, ang dami-daming conflict ngayon sa Israel, Palestine, sa Africa, ang daming parts na may Ethiopia or Sudan, ang daming conflict. So minsan, sinishare yan ng mga users na nakita mismo yung violence na ginawa ng police or ng military or sinishare ng journalists to raise awareness. So, kailangan may exception. So, if that exception applies, ang gagawin ng Meta is allowed pa rin. Hindi nila i-remove yung video, pero magkakaroon ng warning screen. I'm sure nakita mo na yan, Christian, right? Yung minsan, warning, sensitive.
Yes, so
So,
bago maging visible yung image, yeah.
oo. Or sometimes kailangan may gawin ka sa settings mo para ma-view mo yung video so hindi automatic. So, ang tinatawag namin dyan, nagdadagdag sila ng friction bago mo makita yung content imbis na easily visible or automatically visible.
Kumbaga, yun na yung parang closest that they could get to regulation without actually delving into regulation. Ito pala, before I let you go, Jen, no? Ito marami nagtatanong sa akin. Tanong ko rin to, no? Kunwari merong reklamo, kunwari, someone from the Philippines, from Manila, sa Facebook. At parang hindi malinaw kasi yung kakausapin. Let's say they want to speak with a person, not through the usual channels on Facebook or Meta. Paano ba yun?
Well, I think, so yung appeal mechanism, it's really within the platform. So, for what reason do you want to, so actually I'm not sure kung merong country offices and regional offices ang Meta around the world. Pero ako mismo hindi ako sigurado kung aling bansa yon or saan sila, ano yung office nila. So, kami mismo, nalalaman lang din namin yung important information through our cases. Kasi our cases are our only way to add additional questions. So actually, I would suggest na kung meron kayong nakikitang issue, to file cases with us. Kasi we can help you provide additional accountability from Meta.
Kung nagustuhan niyo po itong video na ito, paki-like at share na lang po para mas marami pang makakita at makapanood. Kung gusto niyo po makibalita, follow niyo na rin po ako sa aking mga social media accounts na nakasulat po sa screen. Pwede rin po kayo magpadala ng super thanks, super like, super chat at super sticker sa YouTube, saka Facebook stars po. Alam niyo po, malayo po mararating ito para makagawa pa po kami ng mas maraming video na makatutulong po sa pagpapakalat ng tamang impormasyon para sa bawat Pilipino. Kada like, subscribe, follow at share ay pagsuporta po sa tunay na independent journalism sa bansa. Maraming salamat po.